Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a episode of something. This is, of course, the 50 years in the dungeon slot, where I celebrate the fact that the hobby of tabletop role-playing games is more than 50 years old, and I've been a part of it either as a gamer or as a professional, mostly as both, for a lot of that time. And I very often have people that I have conversations with, and people who've worked in the industry, done a lot of that. As fans of the show may know, we've been having problems. Well, usually while I'm having those conversations, I will begin drawing a cartoon homage to a classic piece of gaming art. But those who've watched recently have known that for the past month or so, I've been struggling with some tech problems that caused by various softwares updating at the same time and trying to figure out what is causing it. I can either have a guest on or do drawing. This show's concept is based around me doing both, and that's something I haven't been able to do. But not for the past month and a half or 2 months or so. But I've had people on some time, and other times I've been finishing drawings I started on earlier programs. Well, I've kind of run out of drawings that I began on earlier programs because the interviews happened and I didn't do any drawing. But I still want to do the drawings that I had lined up. I pick a drawing that is somehow connected to my guest. Either it's something that they worked on, or it's something that was important to them, or something that I think about in relationship with them. And so I had some very nice pieces lined up, and I didn't get to do any of them. So tonight, I'm going to start one. I'm going to go back and I'm going to... So it's basically just a studio show. That's why I kind of call it studio time. I'm going to start drawing, and I'm going to hang out with y'all, and I'll talk. I'll answer questions and do whatnot. Try and maybe give some art tips or just tell stories. If there are no questions and there are no stories, then I'll just mumble to myself like people of my age do. I like to play it up, but I'm really not as old as the gray beard makes me look. Or maybe I am, and I just don't. I don't know. I don't know how old it makes me look. I do know how old I am. So I'm not so old I don't know how old I am. Hello, Dale Donovan. Hello, Michael and chat. Thank you both for popping in and joining me this evening. We're going to be drawing. And so what am I going to be drawing tonight? Tonight I'm going to be drawing the art piece I had lined up for when I had a conversation with Malix Neistel, who worked at Wizards of the Coast and FASA and lots of other places. I'm going to be working on a cartoon homage to the cover of the original Shadowrun hardcover, painting by Larry Elmore. I'm going to try and pull that up here on my machine. I do all my drawing on an iPad Pro using the app Procreate and an Apple Pencil. People want to know that question, so I tell it. None of them are sponsored. I get nothing for telling you that other than knowing that I've shared information. Information is shared. I like it. I do all of my professional drawing that way these days. I do most of my drawing for fun. I still doodle and sketch a lot in physical media, but anything I'm drawing for completion, for polish, I do this way. Hello, Jeff Sturgeon. Hey, man, how are you doing? How are things? You had some fires out by you, right? Is everything all right, folks? Speaking of people who paint classic fantasy art, Jeff Sturgeon. Here in my chat room. Woo-hoo-hoo! All right, here we go. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Like I say, I probably should. There hasn't been any problem with me having me and the art on screen, like I said before, or me and a guest on screen, but anytime I try and mix the three, it just locks up. I can tell you that I think I told you last week that it's been escalated to the higher tech folks at Ecamm, which is the software I use to do this, and I hadn't heard anything by this morning. It's been a week, so I dropped them a note to say, "Hey, anything? Should I just calm down? I mean, if it's going to take longer, just tell me. I'll be fine. I just want to make sure I'm not missing something in the email that got caught in my spam filter." And it turns out the guy they had escalated my case to, they escalated to him, and he went on vacation the next day, and he just came back. So he tells me he's going to have a look in the next day or so, and he'll tell me something. Hopefully he'll tell me how to, or some, at least some, either this is how you fix it for sure, or some things to try and see if we can fix it. But until then, I'm kind of having to choose between drawing and having guests. So sad. So sad. It worked perfectly for 2.5 years. Just says there's fires east up in the mountains, but none near Seattle. Okay, good. Oh, I thought you were over on in the Ellensburg area, or out on that side of the hill these days. I know you used to be over on the peninsula. I mean, I don't keep that close track. You should make you feel better that I don't really keep that close tabs on you. Just kind of vague what I can follow through Facebook. All right, so here we go. This is the painting, Larry Elmore's painting, for the cover of Shadowrun. I'm going to be trying to take this very very often case, these are book covers that I'm working with, so they usually are kind of vertical in layout, right? They are, let me get my pen set up here, right? A book cover is tall and thin, and I have chosen purposely for this format a square format. So I've got to take what is originally presented in this format and try and present it in that format. Usually I kind of zoom in and I move things around a little. It also helps to make me have to interpret the piece I'm seeing. I'm not just copying it verbatim. I am interpreting it into my my particular cartoony style. Some pieces are harder than others. The more characters, the more individual things that happen around this. So, in this one, we've got a book-shaped thing which has a character here and a character here, there, and the setting is kind of important. I mean, I could just let me choose. Let's go to a different color. I could just take this chunk of it. And I think that might be what I do. I can't draw on top of that right now. Just kind of ignore. But the thing really is, as I get square, the way they're set up, it's hard for me to get that action in with the same one. I've got to do some kind of fiddling here. And, but that's why I get paid the big bucks. Speaking of which, anyone want to join my Patreon? If you do, it's at patreon.com/Stanex. But that really was just, yoke. It's a yoke. Oh, Snohomish. That's a lovely area. Michael's guessing that the problem I'm having is a memory leak in the dial-in part of the program. Could be. I think it might also be, and I might have mentioned this last time. Um, it might also be that my computer is 8 years old and it just doesn't have the the RAM that it needs, or the vid card or something. It just because, like I say, these happened when they updated three different pieces of software updated at the same time, and when they update software, they want to take advantage of the new chips and the new setups on the machines. And my machine is towards the end of its support cycle, and I tell you, one of the things, it makes me sad because one of the things that is not in my budget this year is buying a new computer, but it may have to be, because if this is going to start happening, it's going to happen with more regularity with other things. Okay, let's zoom in a little and see what we've got. So we've got so often what I do, I don't know if this probably is not um, really obvious to people. I zoom in and draw it in blocky shapes small, and then zoom out to put them on to fit them into the page, and then I can move them around so I get the shapes I want without really worrying about the, and we can't see that guy's leg, but I'm going to put it in. Um, this, let's say, it lets me block things out and not worry about what I'm going to have to worry about, which is how to fit it all in the page. Now, let's say I definitely want to adapt rather than copy. I've made that a point the whole time. I don't talk about it a lot because that when I do, I sound really kind of like I'm blowing my own horn. Like, I don't want to copy other people. I want to adapt it to show my respect and stretch my own artistic legs. But it's true. I do. All right, so those two, and then this guy is up front in front. Okay, let's take that and make it even smaller for me, sketching wise. And then this guy is up front. I'm going to put him even. So right now you see how they line up here, really spaced out. I think I'm going to bring them closer together. And in fact, to make that even easier, I'm going to put this other guy on another layer, so I can move him around easier. But so they really go kind of side by side there. But I'm going to bring him so he's in front of her more. And closer to the camera. Let me see what's going on here. Was Elmore a freelance artist when he did this piece? Yeah, Elmore was no longer at TSR by this time. So yeah, he was doing commissioned work. He was doing work for a lot of work for different companies. Still doing work for TSR and Wizards at the time. Well, this is pre-Wizards, certainly. But yeah, he had left TSR and was back in Kentucky, I think, at the point that he was drawing this. Now here's, so they say I want them to be in front of each other, but her hand there is casting magic, which is kind of important to this. So I don't know that that's going to be exactly how I want it to be, but um, Michael says, taking advantage of the new chips spawned the phrase, Intel giveth and Microsoft taketh away. Well, in this case it's Apple, but same thing. Steve Jobs giveth and taketh away. Hello, Lamasu Rex. Thank you for popping in. Have any strong feelings about Goliaths? You know, Goliaths. Um, yeah, Goliaths are characters that don't get used very often. You know what? I'm going to change the color for this guy so it's easier for me to remember that he's on his own layer. Uh, there we go. So somehow, if I take him, I'm going to need to move him a little, and I'm probably going to have to go and move her arm a little. I shouldn't do too much because they're both still going to, this is still before I've put it into the full page. But alright, so now if I pull this down, and I grab both these layers, move them over here, make them bigger. Alright, so in this piece also, we see that what's going on here on the left takes up a lot of room. I'm going to cut it off a lot. I'm going to move it over so that we're just going to get the little slice of that tower there. I put that in so you could see, not because it's going to get its own layer too. And then we can move in and put these guys there. So let's, because right now that's an alright little grouping. It takes out about enough space here on the page. So let's put another layer up. Put that behind them. Draw that in a green gray. Because that's going to be now. Here's another thing. I am not generally good with mechanical things. This is not a. I'm a drawing characters. I'm not good at drawing cars and things. That doesn't mean I can't do it. It's just not, doesn't come easy to me. So somehow it's going to come here. And we're going to have people back there. And Larry's done a really good job of getting this thing to look like a limousine and like a futuristic limousine, and mine just looks like a boxy thing here. So what do I need to do? Make it a little longer, right? The hood will need to come a little longer. There we go. And then we're going to have there, and that's going to go back. All right. And that's when over here we're going to have whatever's going on with this thing. Which is probably also going to have to be its own layer in front of them. Maybe the same layer as this guy. But we'll see. So there's a pad he's working on. That, there'll be a thing here. Well, that'll go on his layer, but he's going to need that wire to come in there. But you can see how I'm adjusting what's going on there. Okay, and then in the very background, which we can probably keep on this same layer. Oh, I didn't finish the guys. So we got one guy there. We got another guy coming out from back here. We're going to lose the third guy because there's just not enough room for him. I don't know. Maybe he'll be back here. But I'm a little leery about putting too much detail over that. Right? You can see in the original, they're not layered because that's just going to create visual confusion. And then behind them, we have our fancy schmancy futuristic, I say retro futuristic, because this definitely looks like the 80s from the future as seen from the 1980s. If nothing else, then for the hairstyle everyone's got. There we go. Now, what else we need? We're going to need a grate here with some steam coming out of it. Oh, won't have to miss the bullet spray in here. And some junk there. Alright. I think that's roughly what my drawing is going to be made up of. How did she hold through that shotgun? You know what? I don't ask questions like that. Jeff says Larry is a good guy. Oh, cool guy. Larry is a cool guy. I don't know him very well. I've met him a few times. By the time I got to TSR, he was no longer on staff. I've met him at cons here and there. Super friendly, awesome, awesome guy. I'd love to get him on the show. And every once in a while, when other people have approached him for me about being interested, he has said yes. I have not had any luck. I haven't seen him face to face to talk to him myself. I don't have. I don't want to. I don't have his phone number. I'm sure I could get it, but I don't know about just calling people up. That's not what you do these days. But I've been sending emails and other things, and I um, haven't gotten contact back. So we'll see. All right. So now I'm thinking, yeah, I really would like this to create a whole new layer so I can draw on it and not have to worry about erasing it. I would really like for these guys here to, why is it that color? To take up more of the space. The problem is if I do that, then there's no room for this. That's the only way to fit both our, again, because I've picked a square format, but in a vertical format, it works great. In a square format, the more space they take up vertically, the more space they take up horizontally, and then they're blocking out that one. I know that I'm probably going to have to cut all this diagramming out when I make the video of this, when I make the process video. Hey, Matthew Snow, glad you could make it. Yeah, so, and that just makes it a little harder for me to put details on these guys, but that's all right. Okay, I think that is a good layout. Yeah, Jeff says Larry pretty much stays at home these days. Yeah, and I also know just from following him that he's not super handy with the tech. And he needs folks to help him, uh, you know, be his tech people. And I can totally empathize with that. Look at my problems, but I don't think that he is. I think that's why it's hard for me to get a hold of him. All right. So having done this, I am going to hide the background layer, even hide that guy, and just focus on these two on one layer. That'll be the next thing I do. So I'm going to drop the opacity so that they fade back a little. And then I'm going to use that same color to do my pencil drawings. Pencil, as it were. Michael says the guy on the left reminds me of Longshot. It was about the same era. All right. So let's see. He's an elf, so we got to start with that. He's an elf with 1980s eye makeup. You know what? I need to put that background up again because he's going to need that. Hacking wire because this was also in the days when we didn't realize that everything was going to be wireless. Cyberpunk is full of wires, or original version Cyberpunk, all kinds of wires that just don't fit a modern Cyberpunk vision. And you'd probably need to be um, doing some splicing in, but a lot of it has got to be wireless. We're just living in a wireless world. It's got big 80s shoulders, big shoulder pads. I want to make sure that I capture that part of this, right? The very 80s-ness of it. I think I'm not going to worry too much about capturing that tattoo slash eye makeup slash whatever we got going on there. That color will take care of that. His nose is looking a little big now. Gotta have that little healthy nose. I hadn't really noticed. So, one of the fun things about doing this, and I often talk about this with when I have lunch every Wednesday with Jeff Grubb and Steve Winter, and Jeff has had very kind things to say about the um, the various drawings I've done here for the show. Uh, and I will often say that there are things I notice when I'm doing these homages. I notice things that I never noticed about the original art. Often for things like this, I've been looking at this cover for, you know, the better part of 35, 40 years. Not could be 40. It's approaching 40 since the game came out. And I mean, I remember it. I remember really liking it. The art and playing some Shadowrun back in the day. Um, but I never noticed these little Wolverine claws he had in his hand. All right, here's another problem. Hmm. So right now I've done that based on my original breakdown, but at this point those legs are too short for his body, and I need him to fit in that space. So what happens if I do it like that? Bring him up a little. There we go. And then I can, yeah. And part of the challenge here is I'm also trying to do these things pretty quickly. I gave him parachute pants, and I kind of like them, but that's not what's in the original. I'm gonna make a I'm gonna make a call that I'm yeah. So I mean, Larry could not have known that 2 years after he did this, parachute pants were going to become the biggest rage in late '80s fashion. So he couldn't possibly have put that in. But I'm going to make him look like a genius here. With knee pads. Yeah, again, I'm interpreting the original, not reproducing it verbatim. All right, let's turn off that sketch for a second and see how he's looking. I don't need to get everything perfectly right. I don't want to I don't want to let myself fall into the trap of just, getting all the lines down so I wind up having nothing but tracing to do when I get to the end, to the laying the inks in layer. What are these on the sides of his pants? What is that? Oh, I mean, the one at top that looks like that could be a grenade strapped to the back, but those other ones, they just, I don't even know. Has he got daggers stuck into his parachute pants? I know they're not parachute pants in the original. Yeah, no, Larry's version is not parachute pants. Let's say that I'm changing that. I'm making a Stan audible, and I'm giving him parachute pants. Larry's got super tight nylon leggings, and I also lost these awesome boots Larry gave him. But there we go. All right, let's turn back on the sketch because it's time to come over to our human lady. Hey, lady. What an outfit she's got on. Alright, I'm going to start. I want her to have a long neck. I'm also she doesn't look angry. I want her to look angry. So here I'm going to do another audible. She's also got that spiky kind of punk rock mohawk hair, but I'm going to give her one of those super like kind of, who's the actress I'm thinking of from the 80s that had that kind of tight, very that kind of white blonde, tight down, short in the back, but then a curled uh, top, curled style top. I want to give her that. Those are gun cartridges hanging from a bandolier over on him. I don't think so. I mean, maybe. Some, I don't know what they are, but I certainly don't get that read on them. All right. She's all I do kind of have to go with the leaving her cleavage out because that's there in the original. I don't have to play it exactly the same, but I think she's got cut off jeans. Man. Oh, I know who I'm thinking of. Brigitte Nielsen, who didn't, didn't always have that look, but that's what I was thinking of in my head. Wow, that's a weird jacket she's got on. Alright, that's a weird posture I've got her in. Trying to change it up without really thinking about it too much. That doesn't work. I've got, yeah, that doesn't work at all. Alright, if I'm going to give her like that, first of all, I got to move her navel over. Got to think about how the pelvis rolls and where the hips are going to come out of it. That works a little better. The weird thing, so I'm twisting her torso, right? She's going to move over here. So if coming straight up, her torso is like this, I've got her bottom half turned this way and her top half turned that way. Which, is a very artsy pose. But it makes getting the and I'm also going to need to do what I did with him, because I made that head too big now. That helps a lot. Right, she's got big shoulders again. Coming here, and her torso is going back like this. So her pecs, shall we say, are going to be there-ish. Tell you, I'll be honest. I'm feeling a little more self-conscious with Jeff Sturgeon having being here. Or I don't remember. I didn't see whether he had to dodge out or if he's still watching. But I'm a big fan of Jeff's work, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm a cartoonist. He's an artist, and so there's a little bit of bashfulness and wanting to look good in front of someone I respect. All right, that's good. That'll do there. Now, this is going to change some of what's going on with her gun, but not a lot. It's got a feather on those coming off those boots. Larry does like to put feathers on things. Cut off shorts. Man, that cracks me up. All right, now she does have... Are these the bandoliers you're talking about? The ones that are coming across her belt? In which case, you're absolutely right all the time, and I just wasn't understanding what you were saying. She's got fringe on her sleeves. Holy cats. There's everything going on here. And then she's got herself a sawed-off shotgun. Or, you know, a futuristic one, anyway. Alright, let's turn off the sketch layer and see what we got going on here. Whole lot of scribbles, but I think I see it. And then something's going to be going on with her hands. I don't know exactly how I'm going to pull that off yet, but I will. Not too worried about his leg here because it's going to be hidden behind the machine. I'm pretty sure her front foot is too. Well, it's going to be hidden, not behind the machine. It's going to be hidden by our guy in front. All right, let's turn him on and see. Yeah, yep. All right, though, that'll do. Mostly, I think that's looking pretty good. That trench coat is just so weird. That big flared back with the split and the fringe. All right, I'm going to take some liberties with that too. Got to keep the fringe. You know what? I'll tell you what. The important part on that coat is that it's got the fringe. Exactly how it's split doesn't matter. But if we keep that fringe, we'll have what we need. All right, that's good. Let's take a short little break, have a little sip, see what's going on in the chat. You know, Lamasu, I'm looking at your where is she holstering that gun question again. That's a thing that I don't. I notice that when I do my character designs for fantasy characters, drawing around it, there's no way they can actually be packing everything that's on their character sheet. In fact, where do all the weapons go? How are they strapped on? And it's not realistic. But, you know, I realized that for me that it uh, never mattered. I never needed that kind of reality in my D&D characters, and it's one of the interesting things about D&D is what what you see in your mind's eye. It's always been. I found this actually very early on, going back to first edition. The difference between what I was seeing in my head and what the people I was playing with were seeing in their heads. Like some of them, who were really into historical armature, were seeing historical, plate mail and such, and how it worked, and uh, um, I was seeing something much more cinematic or even cartoony. Oh, very often, maybe even like Prince Valiant-ish, which is very historically accurate when the artists draw things, but the idea of what they're particularly carrying doesn't always seem to it 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 seems much more posed than real. A golf bag of holding, that would be great. But for me, when this first came to mind, it was summed up not specifically in the clothing, um, but kind of in how 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 grungy, not in a '90s sense, but how gritty and dirty and realistic the world that they were going and what they were wearing was. Like, to me, it was all really very clean and, like you'd have in a comic or a TV show. And to others, it was very much they could hear the mud squish under under their characters' boots, and they knew how rotten it smelled because it was damp and because they never took that off. And that whole kind of that seemed to mask a lot with the need back then for um, for the rules to be tied to reality, for them to be simulationists, to use a more modern term. And my vision of everything, just my picture of it was cleaner, and my mechanical view was more cinematic, to use a modern term. So, still true. I would rather design something that just kind of looks cool and doesn't pass the where does he where are they going to holster that thing? How are they going to carry that around? Uh, and have the rules cover the things and just say, okay, well, they've got bags and they've got stuff and they're taking care of it, but I don't worry about it. In fact, I'll tell you, one of the I find really funny when I've got characters that have, like, spellcasters that have um, uh, staves in particular, right? It's nice when they show them carrying the staves, but when I want them to be doing something, where's the staff? Do they put it on the ground? Do they slap it? Do they strap it to their back somewhere? Is someone else holding it for them? I don't know. It just kind of whoop disappears until they need it again, and then they're holding it. It's just how my brain. That's the level of reality my brain needed for the game. Anyway, oh, you know what? I am going to leave this. I'm looking at this 81% on the pencil right now. I'm going to leave that for another couple of seconds. Maybe come over here and come off screen. Just us again. Just us chatting, talking. Encumbrance. Yeah, encumbrance rules were the first thing to go. I think encumbrance rules were one of those things that almost everyone I knew ditched those, except for some particular groups who wanted that level of verisimilitude, to use a $2 word. Um, for us, it had to pass the sniff test, the logic test. Does it make sense? All right, you can do that. Does the GM want you? Does it allow your characters to be as uh, out equipped as the GM wants them to be? Then they get to do that. Is it suddenly they've got everything? All right. Well, now you can't have all that. And some GMs had a luck roll, or you get to write down exactly what you have, and that's all you have. Everyone had a different solution, but almost never was it the actual uh, in place encumbrance rules, which is one of the reasons I find it interesting that we enjoy. One of the things we enjoy playing Shadow Dark is the the carrying capacity. You've got a number of slots. That's all you can carry, and that's a feature. That's an important feature in the game. So you don't complain about it. We knew coming in. That's what it was. You got to manage that. It comes out of that video game way of thinking of going to your inventory and what slots you've got. Made it a lot more palatable. It's also simple, and you don't have to worry about weight and where you're going to put it and what pouch is it in. Just kind of, you've got 12 slots. What are you going to put in them? Michael says he can never pronounce that vitude. Verisimilitude. Verisimilitude. I'm not even sure that's exactly right, but it'll get you close enough. Let's see. While that Apple Pencil charges a little, what have I got to tell you? I know that the project that I've been working on that I can't talk about yet. This week, the guy that I report to was telling me that they are putting the finishing touches on what will be the announcement. So hopefully, I think that by Gen Con, or maybe at Gen Con, I don't know exactly what their timing is. It'll be announced, and I can tell you what it is. But that project also is getting ready to wrap up, and I've got another very interesting project after that. Much smaller one, but one that I love. Oh, I can't wait to do this project. It's not for me, but it'll, got to work, got to pay, got to keep the roof over this Stan's head. When I try to break the word down, no, it's not harder. Very, very, very similitude. Simil. It's a simil part that's verisimil. Verisimilitude. The V word, though. The V-tude. I just wanted to have V-tude. That's all. That's all I ask. This thing has to have V-tude. Make it happen. Looking around here at my desk to see if there's anything to show ya. I was talking here before about character designs, and I've been doing a lot more quick character designs this past year. Some for the event that I did with Ed Stark at Gamehole Con and again at Page, and then for some other private commissions and so what I call the Illustrated Dungeon for other groups. And I've been thinking that I may start to do more, like present those, make that a thing that I do, and put out in my social media and website, like a new just character designs, and then collect them into a book or a package that people can have, or as stock art, but just a bunch of here's a bunch of dwarves of a bunch of dwarf fighters and some clerics, and but I also thought that might be just something I could do as I don't know if it's do it while streaming or let people suggest it. Certainly, I hopefully would maybe get some more people to want um, to pay to have me do their characters. I could drop the price I need to pay if part of the deal is I get to use it for this project. Um, well, Michael says, "Duh, I've only been telling you to do that for 2 years." I, you know, my ears were clogged. I didn't hear you. No, you know what? It is only doing that uh, so much recently that I realized how quickly I could do those things, and the the one of the other thoughts was if uh, I could write up just kind of non-rule specific, give name them and give them backgrounds and just kind of short character. It's a character sketch picture and a character sketch writing, and then make a collection of them, or I don't know. So yeah, I mean, here we go. Let's come back here, and instead of doing that, so if I come down to the illustrated dungeon thing, right? I did. Oh no, they're not here, are they? Well, I mean, here, yeah, here I can show you. These were the characters I did. So there are 7 characters. I, they really didn't take that long to do. Um, I could post I could post them multiple times a week. I suppose in theory I could. I would start with I would start slow. I always encourage people to start slow. Like in my head, I'm like, I could do one a day, but until such time as it's generating revenue, I couldn't keep doing one a day over an extended period of time. Um, but I could certainly do 2 or 3 a week, and I would start with these. So I'm going to be starting with a pool of already done characters. Um, I have 17,000 images in my library. If I value them at $1 a piece, I well, you know what? That's a weird bit of logic there, but we won't go too deeply into that. Here's another group I did for. I think I showed these last week, right? This is for another thing that a friend of mine is going to be doing later in the summer. Uh, right? So I've got another 5, 6, another 6 right there. Oh yeah, here are these first guys, kind of just straight up. Ooh, and yeah, this is what the illustrated dungeon type work looks like. And then, I mean, the next step up, I did these uh, for Ed's group, home group. Right? I did a character portrait for each of them. Now these are a little more, well, no, a lot more fully rendered. The ones you saw before, I could definitely knock out one of those. I could knock out two or three of those in a morning. These are the better part of a day for each of them. But but I could take this design and render it in that kind of quicker style. Um, some of them are sillier than others, but then I take them and I make a group. I've done this for Ed twice and Steve Winter and some other people. So each one gets done on its own, and then I make a group shot. Um, and this is something people occasionally commission me to do. It's expensive. I mean, it's not stupid expensive, but given the fact that each one of those characters is going to be the better part of a day, and then the background is going to be the better part of a day, it's a little expensive. But if I take even these designs and just re-render them in the slightly less detailed way, I think I probably have 20 or 30 of these ready to go. but yes, Michael, the idea of I've got a bazillion of these. If I could get people to, if I can make $1 off each one, I'd have X. There's a lot of thought. That's a lot of way of thinking. You know this, but I'm saying this for other viewers. That's a lot of the thinking that goes into, what you have to do as uh, an independent creator these days. You've got to find a way to make just a small amount of money off a lot of things, or get a lot of people to give you a very small amount of money. If I could get if I could do these drawings and I could get 100 people to give me $1 each for them, all right, it's $100, but that's about what I charge. So I don't need a commissioner. I don't need someone to commission me to do it if I can get 100 people to give me $1 each. Anyway. Oh, I'll tell you another thing. So one of the things I was thinking as I get ready to start drawing again, one of the other things I was thinking was in conjunction with the fact that I need to, I'm looking at having to get this new computer that I can't really, it's not in my budget. It's not that I can't afford it. It's that I can't afford it right now. And I kind of need to start thinking about getting it sooner rather than later. So I was thinking about announcing that, and because I've also got a looming car repair, which is I've got to generate some funds for. But so usually for those kinds of drawings, it's about $100 a piece to do them, given the amount of time they take. But I was thinking about kind of advertising why I'm doing it, right? Oh, I got to raise some money to get a new computer. You want to help out? I'm doing these loose character drawings. Do them for $50 instead of $100. So you get a big discount. I'll do your character. Part of the deal is I get to use it afterwards. And for these other things, and part of the deal is you pay me up front rather than wait till I get it done, and I'll get it done over an X period of time. So I'm thinking about doing that. As Michael says, I can put them up on drive-through. Yes, I can put them. I can try to get them as avatars onto some of the digital tabletops. They're always looking for artwork or graphics. Talked to a couple of them over the years. They came asking if I had that kind of thing, like characters they could make into avatars for people using the digital tabletops. Well, I could suddenly have a whole bunch of them. All right, let's get back to this now, shall we? Or, I'm not saying we need to stop talking about this, but let me get back to doing some drawing while we talk about it. So yeah, I don't know exactly what is going to come of this. This guy's got like a kabuki mask design, which I think mostly is going to come out of the colors. But let me give him a... Anyway, I share that with you, my fine friends here, as a stand project which is likely going to happen in the next few months somewhere. I'm pondering how to make it work. I see a couple of things popping up in the chat while I've got my head down. I have to look at those. And I'm going to put these lines in because they seem more important here than previously. But I think most of that's going to get done in color rather than line work. You know what these people don't like? I'm noticing they don't like shirts. None of them are wearing shirts. This guy's got a vest jacket. It seems like it could be a shirt at first, but it's not. It's a like a denim jacket. It's gonna muscly arms. This guy. Um, Michael says we need to have a long Zoom meeting. All right, reach out. Send me a note. Let's do it. Standees, avatars, a deck of NPC cards. Well, yes. Now the trick on some of those is that there is additional work that needs to be done. That's one of the reasons why um, when I talk about this, I like to think about it as something that I can find a way to do repeatedly over a period of time rather than this is a project, because in my world, getting paid on a regular basis is is an important part of it. And these kinds of projects, I love them. I do the equivalent of some kind of crowdfunding or putting out um, products on Drive Through Now or one of the other digital formats. You're taking a bet every time you do that. You're betting that the money will come through. And I'm at a risk averse part of my career at the moment. So you limit that by only doing a small amount of it at a time. And it's you're talking about deck of NPCs. Um, One of the things, and we've talked about this before too, right? One of the things that I have in my uh, in my folder full of stuff are notes on um, making a new uh, saga system, or the notes that I had when we were going to be doing a second edition on the saga system. Um, that could be put out in as a standalone game, which is a spiritual successor to the saga system. Like they still work that needs to be done on them. It's not ready to go, and I wouldn't be reprinting that game itself. That would not be legal or wholly ethical. But I got to get the angle right on that. We'll figure out what angle when I've got the car in front of me. There's going to be some kind of gunshot there. But part of that would be doing a fate deck. But that requires 100 pieces of art. Minimum. In fact, it requires more than that. But with 100 cards, let's just round it down and say, yeah, we need 100 pieces of art. And how much time does it take to create 100 pieces of art? The answer is a lot. And just going back on what we were talking before, what I was saying before, right? I need to do things that are going to make money or start earning some money in a shorter period of time. So, that's certainly something I've given thought to also, is doing some of these characters with the idea that, when I get a bunch of them, they could become a fate deck. Or they could become another thing. But some of the things that you've been talking about, Michael, right? A character deck, or a collection of NPCs. But the challenge is making them the priority. The priority always turns out to be what's going to get money on the shortest timeline. And if not, then finding a timeline that works for them. All right, well, I'm going to do it. Over the course of 2 years or 6 months or whatever. But putting that timeline together and then starting to work on it. It's challenging doing the business side of being a creative entrepreneur. I like it. I'm not complaining in that. I like it. I've chosen to do that. I keep doing it. But I'll tell you, part of the other side of this is that, particularly last year, this is no secret, I was very public about this. Last year was a terrible year fiscally for me. Bottled out, wound up having to do a GoFundMe. I had a lot of very strong support from wonderful people, and I appreciate it. But having come out of it, and this year being better, I still don't have a backstop, right? I'm still kind of running too close to the if something goes wrong, then or if things don't go right, not even something goes wrong, if things don't go 100% right, then I've got real trouble ahead. And that, again, means that rather than do some of these things which, if they pay off, would be great, it's a, but it's a gamble. And as I say, I'm currently risk averse. All right, let's turn that off. And these are the characters. Turn the background on and lower the opacity so it's. This is how the piece is looking right now. About an hour and a half in. Like if this was a regular show and I was interviewing someone, I probably would have gotten to about this part and say, all right, well, I'm going to call it here. Since I'm not interviewing anyone and I'm just hanging out and drawing, and that's what I've scheduled for my evening, I'm going to keep going. So the next part is going to be doing some of these, doing the guys in the car, and then the detail of the background, the foreground and background. All right, exactly. Here's what I'm looking at now, though. This guy is both. Come on back. He's mostly behind the I'm going to call this an ATM now. He's mostly behind the ATM, but his arm reaches in front of the ATM. So if I put that on the background, I'm going to have to. It's not going to block out his leg the way I want. But if I put it in the foreground, I'm going to have to do some kind of layering trick to make his arm go over the top. Thankfully, working digitally, these are all things that are pretty easy to figure out with copying and pasting and layering. So I'm just going to draw this as one background piece with the knowledge that some of it is probably going to have to drop to a new layer. Hey, Chris Andrew. Chris Andrew says, I picture the guy at the ATM shouting over the bullets, do we want 10s or 20s? All right. So, let's come back here. We're going to turn off these, turn on those. So we got back to the sketchy ones. We have a rough idea where they are. But then I'm going to focus on the background. And I'm going to start focusing there on the car and these guys who are these thugs. Look here, zoom really far in. Again, things I never noticed. That's a monkey. They're literally apes. I guess they're supposed to be orcs. This being Shadowrun, but all right. So we're gonna do this in green. I'm going to make this a new layer here. I'm not sure I'm doing that the way I want to. So I'm going to start grouping things. I'm going to group our shooter up front. Just call him shooter. And I'm going to group these guys together. And I'm going to call that group ATM pair. And then this is just going to be background. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but we'll make a group already. Group. Just call it background, backdrop. I'm not so sure how that's going to work layer-wise, but let's just start drawing. The car reminds me of a mid-century. Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be futuristic-y, but it's not that much. All right, come on. There we go. Okay. I'm going to block it. I'm going to make it. It's already pretty blocky. I'm going to start doing it as blocky as I have it here. And it certainly looks like a limo. It's a little low, actually. Sorry, I'm not talking as much. These drawing cars is harder for me. Just need to think a little harder. I don't get what's going on over the wheels, what this rhomboid shape is supposed to be. Some kind of weird car thing. Starting to make things up on the car. But thankfully, all of this here is going to get blocked out by shooter, right? So I I usually draw things out completely anyway because it's digital and because it kind of keeps me honest. What do I mean by honest? Honest as the day is long. All right. Uh, I mean, and I'm gonna decide that this guy here is bigger than he is in the original. Like if these two guys are that big, he's supposed to be one of the toughs. He seems kind of short in the original. See, Chris says, I don't understand this battle. Is this the only ATM in the future? Uh, yeah, I don't think the ATM is the problem. I think they're going to be shooting at these guys no matter where they are. He does seem kind of too big to fit in the car right now. What if I grab him, make him a little smaller? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't fit in the car. Maybe he's there's a goon car too. I'm drawing these. One of the things I'm doing right now, which is probably not how it's going to be in the end, is I'm drawing it with the same thickness nib. Well, the brush setting. This nib is always the same no matter what. It's yeah, but and I think when I ink this, I'm gonna pull the line weight down so it'll be easier to fit the details I want in. No, that's not right. And then this guy back here, who's still going to mostly be blocked by the gun. I think we're going to have him holding his gun up here so we can see it better. There we go. Again, that's going to be rendered pretty small, and a lot of it's going to be blocked. Ah. All right, so let's see now. Let's see, what else, what else? I know I saw from a couple of friends, we're going to, or in Lake Geneva now for EGG Everyone always says EggCon, but I think it's got E. Gary Gygax, so I think it's really EGG But, you know, EggCon, whatever. Which is always nice. It's always nice to see folks visiting Lake Geneva. It brings back memories as they post their pictures about where they're at. I'll be honest, I don't really miss living in Wisconsin all that much. Um, it's not where I grew up, so I don't have that attachment to it. And the weather has extremes in cold and extremes in heat. I can think of where I didn't hate it, and I can certainly think of worse places to be, but I don't really miss it much usually. But when I see people going back there for events, I do feel that kind of nostalgic tug, that little bit of pseudo homesickness. Ed Stark, friend of the show and friend of mine for a long time, uh, is there, and he posted private. I don't know if he posted publicly. Certainly sent pictures around to some of us friends. He had landed, and his first stop was to go to um, a custard chain. Custard is a big thing in Wisconsin, uh, and they make some very good custard. We went to a place called Kops, um, Kopps, in case you're wondering. And yeah, oh, I do miss that hot summer day going to Kops for some custard. Oh, that was good. That was good. All right, that's looking okay. Now, figure it out square wise. And then kind of go from there. All right, basically figure out the vector. All right. Michael asks, just how many gaming cons are there in Lake Geneva? Well, for a while there weren't any. In recent years, there have been uh, GaryCon in February, and and that's 15 years old now. And in the last, I think this is the third year for this summer show. EGG and I think that's it. No, there's also Dragon Days in September or late August. So three. And the difference is that, as I understand it, is that Gary Con is run by Luke Gygax, one of Gary's sons, and EGG Con is run by his widow or first wife and daughter, or his daughter, or some combination there. It's another group. I think that it is his daughter, and I don't know. You know what? I'm not even going to say because I don't know. But it's a different group of Gygaxes, and I believe that Dragon Days is actually run by the city of Lake Geneva. For a long time, Lake Geneva, the city of Lake Geneva, had zero interest in doing anything to promote their history as the birthplace of Dungeons and Dragons. There's a long time when there were people trying to get a statue put up to Gary or some mention of it, and the city was very much, and they had no interest. I don't want to lay it too hard and say they were against it, like it over our dead body, but it was they really had no interest. They didn't think that there's nothing in it. What do they want more of those gamers around? They didn't really, that we didn't fit in very well, despite the fact that Gary and a lot of the original folks came from Lake Geneva. They were the misfits to begin with. So the city didn't really get it, and the people that came to work at the company were out-of-towners who were never really part of the the social fabric of Lake Geneva, right? It was we were into our gamer things, and they didn't get it. It's only in recent years, as gaming has become so broadly popular, and D&D has been recognized by the general media and public, as opposed to the the specialists like us. It's that after a while, yeah, as like I say, they didn't really want to have anything to do with the D&D tourism, but they started to see how, like, first of all, how many people were coming to GaryCon in the middle of the winter, coming to Lake Geneva in the middle of the winter, and how much money it brought to the economy, and how much those people wanted to celebrate the history and Lake Geneva, and celebrate Lake Geneva as being the cornerstone of the history of D&D. That they realized, oh wait, we can make some money at this. Maybe we shouldn't. And now, you know what? I'm attaching motivations that I can't know. It sure seems like that's what it was. They realized, oh, wait, geeks have money, and they want to come here to spend it, and we should give them reasons to. And that's in the past 10, maybe 15 years, as they've started doing things like putting the bench in the park by Lake Geneva, and having this special section in the library, and sponsoring things like Dragon Days. Um, I don't know if I turn off the sketch. How does that look? All right, that looks okay. We'll turn on our characters a little more. There we go. Coming together, I would say. It's coming together. Now you see, of course, that most of that leg is going to be hidden. I've got to figure out how that's going to work, and this hand is going to be in front. I haven't sorted all that out, but oh, look, yeah, a lot going on, a lot of blocking going on there, but looking pretty good. Michael says, as opposed to the rich summer birds. Well, I mean, Lake Geneva was a summer town from 125 years ago, starting in the late 1800s. It was a place that people from Chicago came during the summer. People with money from Chicago would come to Lake Geneva to summer, get out of town, be by the lake. It was cooler. They could go boating. They could, uh, and so to uh, to the city councils, right, to Lake Geneva historically, up until the 70s, that was still there. They were a summer tourist town. They didn't want the geeks scaring away the summer tourists. I think that they have come to realize that the geeks will come in the winter and the summer, and uh, are uh, um, worth cultivating. There we go. What else? Oh, let's do the grid here. Now, again, I don't need to get these 100% perfect. I just need to lay the lines down so that when it's time for me to do this, it's there. So yeah, it's funny how from a city that really, when I was there, wanted nothing to do with its history in D&D, now very much, very much wants to memorialize it and has three big conventions, or three notable conventions a year. Those are where the bullets are going to hit. I'm also trying to get here, just kind of keep that 80s vibe. Though what this thing reminds me of more than anything else is a pachinko parlor. Pachinko parlors. They were terrible. Noisy, smelly, awful places. It's looking all right. Hmm. I point this out often on Thursdays, but one of the nice things about working with this program is that I can do this bit where it snaps a roughly straight line into an actual straight line, and I can make it so that it goes correctly vertical. Or several other angles, at like 15-degree increments, I think. Oh, look at us, over 2 hours already. All right, I'm going to turn off the sketch. It's going to be easier for me to figure out what I want to do. I should probably not worry about this too much right now. Don't need to put all the details, but some details would be nice. And, it's easy while zoomed in here. I'm paying really kind of attention, but the thing to notice in the picture when pulled back, they need to be there for giving the idea. It's another one of those things. Too much detail will draw the eye, so I got to be careful about spending too much time worrying about exactly what's going to go where. Don't want that much detail. I want enough of these lights on the buildings to make them seem to have that feeling of a lit up city at night, but not so much that you wonder, oh, who the hell lives there? There we go. I think now as I turn on the stronger versions, that this is our finished pencil sketch. And from there, I will start adding inks. So this I'm going to call this done for the evening. A little over 2 hours, two and a quarter hours. That's a good evening's work. Michael says he's trying to figure out the graffiti in the original. Well, yeah, I mean, other than the fact that Elmore signed his name in the graffiti, I haven't figured out. We've got Outlaws and Biz Fassa, who is a publisher. Something Corner. That's got to be someone's. That's got to have to do with someone's name there. A pie. Yeah, I've begun thinking about whether what I want to do graffiti wise on this. I think that's definitely a wait for the color section. But I'll tell you what, I'm not sticking my stand there on it. I don't care where Elmore did it. There we go. All right, so those of you who are subscribers to the 50 Years in the Dungeon newsletter, free newsletter, 50yearsinthedungeon.substack.com, I will send this penciled version out next week for you guys to have and look at and do whatever you want with. Ravers. Ravers is one of the things say ravers? Probably. Or are you saying reavers? Like in Firefly. Ravers, reavers. Yeah, so 50 years in the dungeon.substack.com. Fun little free newsletter, and you get all kinds of extra stuff like the pencil version. When I finish the inking, you'll get a coloring book version of this drawing for your own to use and have and enjoy. So you may want to sign up here, 50yearsinthedungeon.substack.com. It's free. If, like we were talking about you earlier, you want to be deeper into all the various things I do, well, going over to my Patreon, patreon.com/Stannex, STANNEX. That's the place to go. And I surely would appreciate it. We spent some time talking about the fiscal truths of being a freelancer, and there is a free level of the Patreon, and I fully encourage you to go and take advantage of that. And only if you have the wherewithal and want to get a little deeper into the community, then consider becoming a paying member. I don't like saying, come and be a come and give me money. I like the community that I'm building up over at Patreon, and I'd love you to be part of it. And there is a free tier, so come on and join that. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. If I come over here and I click this, we'll come back over to me, just me. Thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. It's good seeing you, Michael, in chat. And Michael, you know what? Let's set up a time to have a Zoom call and talk over things. I would love to plumb the depths of your ideas and find out what I can do, to make things better. And if you've got good ideas, I want to hear them. And who knows, maybe we can work on something together. Oh, you know what? There is something else I wanted to tell you about before we get going. Talking about crowdfunding and ways to generate some money. I am going to be launching a backer kit crowdfunding project in September. They have a thing going on called Printopia, which is anything that you're printing a book of. And so I'm going to make a book of the children's story that I did a couple of years ago in October. The first of the Little Witch Willow stories. I'm going to do a Little Witch Willow crowdfunding to create a print version of that. I will be saying more about that and putting a link up in social media and here one of these weeks, because the way BackerKit in particular works is they need you to get people to click that they are interested before it launches in order to unlock being ready to launch. So I need to get people to be interested. And I think you guys might be interested. And here's the thing. Even if you're not going to spend, that's all right. It's not asking for any money or any promise that you're going to spend any money. It's saying, this sounds interesting. I'd like to know more. And if you're watching this after 2.5 hours, you will be interested and you'll want to know more. So when I'm able to give you that link, I will take it as a true kindness. Or if you see it pop up in my social media, I'll take it as a kindness. If you could go through there and click the I'm interested, tell me when this goes live button. And, when it does, you can decide whether or not you actually want to help to fund it. Totally up to you. So there, I wanted to tell you guys that. You are the first to know that this thing, I put the basic project together. I submitted it to the Printopia thing. I've been accepted because it's one of their Topia. They do Pintopia and Gametopia. They got a lot of different Topias. There will be a bunch of people who are doing book projects in the same month, and part of the deal there is if you back multiple people, then you get extra prizes or extra rewards. Usually things like extra, it'll be stickers or some kind of coloring sheet or ebook or something that you can't get otherwise. And so we'll see. I'll do. I don't know what I'll do for that, but I'll probably do. I've got a bunch of the Little Witch Willow images as stickers. Maybe I'll make a sticker bundle or an extra sticker that's only for people who do that. For now. Anyway, that's it. I wanted to let you know that's going on. The rest of it, I'm going to sign off now and go, well, it's a little late for dinner, but I'll go have myself I didn't have any dinner, so I have a little snack and get ready, because tomorrow night I'll be back with a new episode of Random Encounters, the improv cartooning show. So if you're around tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific, come on back, have some fun, say hi, and do some drawing with me. We'll have a good time. Until then, take care.